I was thinking about this, and I think it's not so much what it looks like, but what it feels like to people. And I think it feels like the absence of fear, like the absence of fear that what you do or say or being fully and unapologetically your true self will be used against you in some way, or will some way be used as a weapon to hinder your progression. I think there's a lot of things that's not as well. It's not a percentage, it's not an exercise, it's not a tick box, which I think is coming up more and more and more. It's the full experience, it's how you experience life, it's whether how many barriers you experience, and it's whether those experiences you have are positive in your progression or are negatively used against you. Oh yeah, we know we need to target certain types of people, etc. But then what is the offering? What's the value exchange? It's like, yeah, you're making the business more diverse and hopefully cross-pollinate ideas, be more progressive and more innovative. But then what is the flip side of that? How to make sure that those ideas can actually be fostered really, really positively. Are you offering mentorship schemes? Are you offering buddy schemes? Are you offering informal support outside of work hours? Are you offering like groups of people that are going to be fully funded by the organization to be able to have talks every week? Are you allowing safe spaces to actually take place within the organization or on Zoom or whatever it is in the future, for people to be able to share ideas in a very safe space and then share them with the organization rather than feel like they're being looked at by directors all the time? Like, what is the value exchange that the organizations who are fully committed to being very inclusive, what are they doing to include those voices? Is there something very like valuable about saying we've done it wrong, yes, but we want to learn how to do it right? And the first thing before that is asking people who are of a minority, what do you want from this organization? What would make you feel supported? Give a platform, give a voice. Say, how would, you know, if women were part of the organization of buildings, do you think we'd only have like 4 toilets per building? No, because we know that women take longer to go to the toilet than men. Playing the long game, I do think the next generation of leaders who have fought these battles, but also are much more empathetic. Like, social media is the biggest curse and the biggest detriment, but also can be a massive facilitator of much needed conversations and spread of information. And I just have hope that the next generation, like, even though some of them may be kind of, I guess, in terms of power structures and how power gets passed down and who's actually going to inherit the next leadership roles, but I do have hope that there's just a more of an understanding of empathy. And I think having an anonymous system where you can say your ideas is really important as well, because I think even speaking to friends in corporate sectors, they're like, oh, well, they got all the emails, D&I, they got all that, but then they still know that what they're experiencing is actually discrimination and microaggressions in the workplace, but they do not feel comfortable, even in the midst of everything that's going on, still don't feel comfortable calling out the corporation or calling out their line manager or calling people out. So making sure that people can call out anonymously without fear of that turning against them. And then creating safe spaces where people can actually talk about their experiences and how they identify within the organization. And then 100%, like, I love the idea of reverse mentorship. And reverse mentoring. So say you've got a new young employee or someone of a minority, and the way that they have like a manager or someone, the manager is giving them informal advice, helping them out on their day-to-day, making sure they have any questions answered straight away. But then also they're asking questions to the person who's just come in and really learning from them and allowing that person to almost mentor them, letting their lived experiences inform what they're telling their manager, letting them say to them, this is how I've experienced life and this is how I would do that differently. So I think that kind of reverse listening, reverse mentorship could be really powerful in creating a really inclusive atmosphere and environment. And when you think about where all the key leaders are, who the key thinkers and directors are of all our companies, a lot of them have been plugged into the same source of information, the same schools, the same kind of theories, the same universities. And if you think about what that's going to produce, it's all going to produce a very linear outcome or something very similar. Then thinking about if you plug into everyone else's different lived experiences of different races, ethnicities, genders, sexualities, experiences, countries, and how much more creative and colourful and more inspiring that picture looks like if you plug into all those different kind of inputs, and like that surely what only is the only thing that can really help us think through some of these like massive issues which are happening.